Hello, my name is Lorlene Hoyt. I'm the Executive Director of the Talloires Network, a global coalition of more than 400 engaged universities in 78 countries around the world. This interview with Andrew Petter, the President and Vice Chancellor of Simon Fraser University in Canada, is part of the OSUN Talloires Network partnership. The Open Society University Network and the Talloires Network share a vision of global higher education system that engages all students in their communities and encourages the exchange of ideas and collective action to change the world. The OSUN Talloires Network partnership includes a pilot project called COVID. COVID is a quick and positive response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And COVID stands for Communities of Virtual Alliance and Interdependence. COVID has two major parts. The first part is a series of interviews and webinars under the banner of Adapting to the New Reality. Civically engaged universities offer strategies and hope. And the second part of COVID is a student engagement award, and I'll say a little bit more about that at the end of this interview. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It's really wonderful to have you. In addition to your service as the head of Simon Fraser University, you're also an active two-term member of the Talloires Network Steering Committee. And today we'd like to benefit our members by learning from your recent leadership in British Columbia, Canada. To provide our viewers with some context before we get into some of the practical suggestions that you might provide, would you please characterize the ways in which the COVID-19 outbreak is impacting Canadian universities and perhaps Simon Fraser University in particular?
Yeah, well, I think the impact probably is not all that different from other universities in the United States and around the world, insofar as we quickly went from a situation where our health officials directed us that we could no longer pursue in-person teaching. And so we've had to shift all of our educational delivery to online or other virtual delivery means. It's restricted severely the ability to conduct in-person research. And so it's had a big impact on the day-to-day operation of the university. I think, however, and without foreshadowing the rest of this interview, but I think it's also given real purpose to the university. I've been impressed at the way the university community, our faculty and staff, but also our students have responded, and responded not only in trying to adapt their own educational environment and their own needs to the circumstances that we face, but also adapting to the needs of the community that we serve and finding ways that they can contribute more to society. And as you're well aware, SFU has made it our mission, a core function of what we do, to be an engaged university. And so the fact that COVID-19 provides an added dimension to that engagement, and obviously one that is particularly pressing at the present time, has in fact been a motivating force for many within the university.
Thank you. You've headed the top-ranking comprehensive university in Canada for nearly a decade, and I would argue that SFU is a model institution for universities around the world that seek to meaningfully engage with their communities. For example, SFU Public Square is an award-winning initiative designed to spark and nurture and restore community connections. In what ways has this and other university initiatives adapted to the new reality?
Well, I think we've really adapted in the sense that our vision of being an engaged university informs everything that we do as a university. So we've looked at our research capacity and tried as much as possible to harness it, not only to address the health aspects of the current crisis, but also the social aspects, to see if there's ways that we can harness our research to address social problems which are related to COVID-19 or might arise in the future. Similarly, on the educational side, we are looking at how we can, for example, through our continuing studies and other programs, really provide continuing educational enrichment to communities through our educational programming. But you're right, we also do a lot of direct community engagement, and that has obviously had to adapt not only in the sense that it has to be delivered in a way that doesn't compromise social distancing and other requirements, but also because it speaks to the desperate need that people have now to be socially connected, even while they're socially distant. And so SFU Public Square, for example, is offering a range of programs now that allow people to connect with each other, to facilitate conversation. Our Center for Dialogue is harnessing expertise and resources to inform public policy, as well as to provide information to the community on what kinds of strategies, what kind of responses as individuals or organizations we can pursue at this time. And there's been a real energy in terms of trying to harness all of the capacities of the university in a way that will speak to the needs of the COVID-19 crisis we face now, and looking down the road that tries to anticipate some of the challenges we're going to face going forward in terms of economic recovery. So for example, yesterday, the city of Burnaby and the Burnaby Board of Trade announced an initiative to do an economic recovery task force facilitated by our Center for Dialogue to bring together all groups within the community to talk about how we can start mapping out the economic recovery. And to the extent we can help in that process, we're keen to do so.
That's wonderful. I'm just delighted to hear how forward-looking your plans are and that you're indeed taking action towards a better future in this moment. It's very uplifting. Are there any practical steps or strategies in terms of the partnerships that you have and that you are evolving as you go that you would want to share with your colleagues around the world? Any insights from your side based on this recent experience?
Well, I think there are some things. One thing we're trying to do is to connect people within the university who are interested as individual faculty members or staff members in making a contribution and harnessing that energy. So actually tomorrow we'll be formally announcing and launching an initiative called SFU CAN. The CAN is COVID Action Now. And within that initiative, there's a network being established and curated to bring together people across the university to help them to gain strength and support from each other, and to connect people who may have similar interests so that they can enlarge their contribution. So we're a large university. We have about 1,000 faculty. We have thousands of employees. They aren't always well connected, even when they can come onto campus. We want to make sure that they become even better connected in the virtual world, particularly those who want to direct their energies to providing support to the external community. So that network, that initiative, I think is one that is going to pay major dividends. The idea came out of our faculty. People were already connecting, and they asked if the university could help facilitate that in a more sustainable way. We're also raising funds to support our students. I suspect many universities are doing that as well. But we're also reaching out into the community and working with the community on a range of different specific initiatives. So for example, we're using our big data capacity to work with the city of Surrey so that they can start to track and map out issues related to their response to COVID-19. Some of our students are using their capacity to develop software to turn out face shields using 3D printers for COVID-19. So there's a whole range of efforts that are going on. What we're trying to do is connect them, support them, and to show how the university can actually get behind them.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a really crisp example of how faculty, students, community partners can all play individual roles and work collectively together. I really appreciate those insights, Andrew. I'll just say a few words about the COVID Student Engagement Award. It's designed to publicly recognize and support undergraduate students who are adapting in exactly the ways that you've described some of their community engagement efforts that are presented by the COVID reality. The deadline for applications is June 1st. We're going to select 10 undergraduate students. They'll be awarded $2,500 US, and they'll join a community of practice. Of course, it will be a virtual community of practice so that they can form some bonds, maybe lift their spirits, share some positive stories and strategies, and have a more hopeful outlook towards the future. And importantly, those dollars they can use in any way that they'd like. If their families need to pay bills, they can use the dollars for those purposes. So we're very optimistic about that effort, and we certainly hope that SFU students will apply. There's going to be, well, there are details currently, and the application is available on both the Talloires Network and the Bard College websites. A final question that relates to students, Andrew, and also others around the world who might be struggling to maintain a positive outlook. What would you say to them? Are there any words of wisdom that you would want to impart as we wrap up this short interview?
Well, I think two things. First of all, I think it's important we recognize that students are experiencing a lot of stress at this time. To suddenly change the way in which education is delivered, to expect them to become disconnected socially when universities are all about being socially connected. The challenges associated with avoiding the risks associated with COVID-19, all of that is very, very stressful. So I think the first thing is just to acknowledge that and make sure that students know that there are support networks in place within their universities and hopefully within their communities to help them. The other thing, though, is I hope students don't give up on education. I think we're going to be in a period where students are going to have to adapt and learn in different ways, hopefully for not too long a period of time. But education remains the best investment. It is the best insurance against economic uncertainty. It's the best way to build one's capacity. And I think if students can continue to stay connected with their educational institutions and programs, maybe suffering a bit through some of these changes, and also find ways to contribute to gain an understanding of the challenges others are facing, that will both help them, but it will also help us all to come through this in a much better way and come out the other side, hopefully even stronger than we entered into it.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Really appreciate your time today, and I'm very grateful for your strong leadership and your many contributions to the university civic engagement movement globally. I wish you and your family all the best.
Well, thank you very much too, Lorraine. And let me say the Talloires Network has been a great source of support, not only to SFU, but to institutions around the world who are experiencing all sorts of challenges. I want to thank you and want to thank the network for what you do and the support that you continue to provide at this very challenging time.
That's kind of you. And for anyone watching, the next webinar will take place on Monday, May 11th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks again, Andrew. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.